Warning, this video contains spoilers. You have been warned. Hi, my name is Jonathan Hicks. I'm at the Dice Cup, and this evening I'm joined by...
Steve.
David J. Smith.
And we've just finished playing The Seventh Continent. That's the box lid. So I'm going to show you, we've sort of completed an introductory scenario, and we've been exploring this island here. The game is very freeform, so you start on this particular tile here, and you can take exploration actions which will allow you to reveal other tiles. The way the actions work is always the same, more or less. For instance, if we were on this tile and you wanted to take this action to explore, sort of have a look at this sort of reddy coloured rock thing here, then the one in the blue diamond means you're drawing one card off an action deck and you need 0 successes. That's what the gold star. Some actions are more difficult than others. And this action deck here is like your energy. You're expending energy reserves in order to take actions. So if we draw one card off here, we're looking for a success. On the left-hand side, the number of stars is the successes. So this would be one success. You don't count halves. Well, actually, in fact, we didn't need any successes for this particular action. It was quite easy. After you've drawn some of these cards, you get to keep one of them. So this is then going to become a useful action. We can examine some notes that we had when we arrived on the island. There's another action here that we can take. So one of us could potentially add that to our hand of actions. And then you get to reveal the cards. So we would take 34 from the box. There's a large pile of these numbered cards. And there's some flavour text on the back, so bright red seaweed is on the rock. And then you turn it over and it tells you a little bit about the seaweed, and it looks like we get to draw another card that's going to help us as well. So it kind of progresses the story in various ways, but you're exploring the island, and the idea of the game, if you like, is to try and rid yourself of a curse. You start off with a clue card. Let me just grab that. So in this case we were doing the Voracious Goddess. There's some introductory text, and we've got this little map. We're trying to make our way across the 7th continent, exploring and somehow trying to lift the curse. It doesn't explain how you do that. You just have to explore, kind of choose your own adventure style, looking at all the various things on the maps, and trying to work your way through. To start with, we were just trying to get off this island, which we managed to in the end. But there are lots of different things you can do. Just to explain a couple of other things, you have a hand of cards here. You have item cards potentially. In fact, let me just show you one of these. So for instance, this woven cord, if you've got certain resources, it reduces the number of cards, but effectively you're taking a craft action to make this. Then once you've made the item, it goes on the table in front of you with the dice. That's the number of uses you have of the item. And then it gives you, in this case, a make fire action. So you can try and make a fire and stick it on the tile where you are, and that's going to help you in various ways. So there's all kinds of different items and all kinds of different actions. There's a little crib sheet here that lists all the possible actions you might find on all the various terrain tiles. You're going around, having adventures, exploring, trying to work out what this curse is, and trying to rid yourself of it. I should say that if the action deck ever runs out, this is the discard pile here, then you don't die immediately, but you're a sort of grave risk of dying, so you've really got to watch that. There are various ways of getting cards from the discard pile back into the action deck, which effectively restores your health. The various state effects, you can become tired or injured, or you can become cold, and these things will then potentially affect your game. You have to watch out for these red hand cards. My particular character, you each pick a character, has certain special abilities and things. I was Victor Frankenstein, and in fact I managed to raise some poor guy from the dead and turn him into my monster, which helps me as I go around the island. But having this extra red card is then potentially bad when other red cards appear. So I've only told you a very small amount about this game, really. There is thousands of minutes, certainly, of game time you can get from this. There's an awful lot to do here. But we just, as I say, have done an introductory scenario. All right, what do we think?
There's so much you can do here. Effectively, there's no turns. You can do any action whenever you want. You wait for any other action to finish resolving, and they've just explored something, so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go and fight that. Who wants to help me? And you've got this dilemma: do you help someone? Because when you draw the action cards off them, if you're part of helping someone or you're one of the the lead guy, you get those cards. You get to share them between you. So if David and I do an action together, and I reveal one of David's cards or a card's useful for me or something, one of us can get it. And if you haven't tried to help, you don't get that card. However, if you've tried to help when the consequence of doing that particular action is bad, for example, at one point I tried to invest a seagull on these acid fumes or something. I got burnt, and no one helped me, which is pretty good for them, but it's pretty bad for me. So yeah, that's really nice. You wander around the island at any point. You've got really nice how many cards you want to play with. Generally, I think we were pretty good in deciding, how many cards we needed to turn over to complete certain tasks. We collected things that were very useful to help us. But at one point, we found, again, spoilers here, we found a submarine. We lowered the submarine into the water. We tried to start the submarine, and we found one of the 2 gears it needed. So we tried to put that gear in. We started the engine and nothing happened. So we needed to find either the other gear or both gears to actually get that to work. And that's just really nice. In some games you'll find them, in some games you won't, which means to get off the island, we did it in a completely different way to the way Jonathan did it, which is a completely different way to getting off the island with the submarine. Neither of us got off the island with the submarine. We got one way, another way. And I imagine there's at least 2 of the ways I could think of you can get off this island with. So yeah, there's just so much scope here. There's going to be hours and hours and hours, and it's just, there doesn't seem to be anything that doesn't work well.
Okay, Steve?
As a child of the 80s, I grew up with Choose Your Own Adventure books that I bought in my local bookshop, and this is very much of that ilk, and be able to say what you want to do when and how many people are going to help you is really, really good. I really quite enjoyed it, especially when Steve got burnt. That was certainly one of my highlights of the entire game. I wish he was burnt a little bit more. But the submarine was quite interesting. Although we found one of the gears, we didn't find the other ones. So the situation we had was: do we go back on the island and try and search for it, or do we try and find another way off the island? So there's no one way in which you could really play this game. No right way, no wrong way. It's just a very good cooperative game, which I really enjoyed.
Okay, David?
This is very much my wheelhouse. There's cool story stuff going on, free form kind of. You can bring a bit of role play to it. We had a bit where Jonathan is deciding he's going to bring back the dead to life, and we kind of had fun playing with whether he should do that or not. Even though mechanically it was very helpful. What a great game.
Okay, rating?
Thumbs up.
Okay, Steve?
Thumbs up.
Most people give a rating out of 10, so David doesn't like ratings out of 10, but if you have a rating out of 10, that would be helpful.
Okay, I will give it 7 thumbs up.
Okay, Steve?
Honestly, this isn't my sort of game. It's such a well-crafted game. Anyone who likes this sort of game will love this. This is right at the top of that sort of thing. I'm probably never going to play this again, so I'm not going to rate it.
Okay. This very much is my kind of game, and I played it with another group for hours and hours and hours. I've progressed a lot further than the scenario that we just showed you there, and I absolutely love it. It is easily one of the best games I've played of the year, and probably one of the best games I've played in the past 10 years. I just think it's absolutely superb. As Steve says, you will know if you're going to like this kind of game, that kind of free-form, choose-your-own adventure, but it does it better than any game I've ever come across. As David was saying, I love the flavour text. It's very well written, really gets you into the story. So many different paths you can take, lots of different items, and you can use them in different ways. You can combine them with other items. So much to explore here. I'm having an absolute blast. So I'd be on a 9 out of 10, and it might even go even higher depending on, as we play it more, as we discover more, just how much there is, because there's so much to be had from this game. So I'm loving it. All right, thanks very much for watching. That was The Seventh Continent.